And Mary and Robin and maybe Dad are in the back. Maybe Dad's up front, but Mary and Robin aren't. Sure, I'll invite them. They're family, technically. I'm definitely inviting their kids. But yeah, they're sitting in the back. And I'm going to make sure that they know that.
Why wasn't he up there with Janelle? Like, you know, Logan was the firstborn, wasn't he?
Yeah, Logan was the firstborn. Logan is Dad's oldest child.
Next to Robin and sit in the stands, like when you should be up there with.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like full disclosure, just let yourself think about that one. Just think about it.
Why on earth would plenty?
Why on earth would a father sit in the second row and not the first row?
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. It's Monday, April 8th, 2024. We're back into our normal content of just regular cult talking about the Apostolic United Brethren. We just uploaded a video where we discussed the secret militia that was orchestrated and organized by Robin Brown's brother-in-law, Mike Bowles, and Mike Bowles would appoint men into this group. We also know that they were using certain items that Kody sells that are untraceable, according to an episode of Secrets of Polygamy. The men were using these items, which I'm sure you guys all know what I'm talking about, and these items were not traceable, according to Jesse Rayner. And Kody Brown has been seen at shows selling items that are not traceable, called ghost items, if you catch my drift. Now, as we're getting back into this normal content, I was thinking a lot about how the last month has kind of opened up this dialogue about the control that patriarchs have within polygamy and the control that patriarchs have in dictating who they're going to have relationships with and who they're not going to have relationships with and who suffers when the relationships are severed by that patriarch. And in a system built for a king, basically, you have a bunch of women and children vying for the attention and the affection of one man. In the Brown family, there are 18 kids and there are 5 adults. That's 23 people, meaning that 22 people are constantly competing for Kody's attention, meaning that there is always someone that is not getting the attention that they deserve from Kody. And because Kody was given this hierarchy of being in control and everyone must bow down to him because he is the king, he has taken very extraordinary steps to maintain his image in the public. And in the last month, you've noticed that despite Kody's obvious behavior on the show and his alienation and his shunning of his children, along with the horrible things that he said about his kids, there's been a lack of response by the Brown children as it relates to Kody. In fact, we've also seen a lack of response by the Brown adults as it goes to Kody. And Mary has even gone as far as defending Kody recently. Well, I was going back through some archives of my content and of different interviews I've watched of the kids. And if you recall, when Christine left Kody in season 17, the season 17 of her divorcing Kody and the knife in the kidneys and the height of that season, there was a lot of interest in that season. It was, Sister Wives was at an all-time high in ratings and everyone was talking about it. And when the show was over and the final tell-all aired in, I think, January of 2023, a bunch of the kids during the season came out publicly to start talking, including Gwendolyn Brown, McKelty Brown, and Peyton Brown. Most of the boys, if you've noticed, Logan, Hunter, Garrison up until his passing, and Gabriel have remained relatively quiet and had remained relatively quiet on social media in regards to their father. Christine's kids, who appeared to be the most outspoken as well as the most maybe neglected, had been the most vocal outside of a couple of them. Isabel and Aspen didn't say much of anything, and then obviously Truly as a child. But 3 of half of Christine's kids came out publicly. The most vocally outspoken against Kody were two, Gwendolyn and Peyton. And when they started doing interviews, they were very, very, very vocal about the favoritism in the family, about Kody neglecting his kids, not being around very much, rarely ever coming over, always being over at Robin's, how Robin's kids were very well taken care of while the other family members did not have the same means or they did not have the same resources available to them. They discussed the manipulation of Robin. They discussed issues with their dad, bad behavior by their dad, and a lot of just information was provided by these kids as they started to unravel and unpack what had happened to them. It was really the first time we saw the Brown kids sort of break rank with the family and speak out against the patriarch and his wife. Well, that didn't last very long. In fact, Gwendolyn Brown, who had once been extremely outspoken against her father, very angry with him, in fact, dialed back everything. So did Peyton Brown. Peyton Brown did a very interesting interview with a blogger named John Yates. And in the interview, he shared a lot of information about Robin, about Mary. This is the infamous video where he revealed that Mary was doing to kids was worse than verbal. It went well past verbal, he said, that she targeted specific kids. He said that the children were not safe around Mary. He even said that Robin saved some of their lives from Mary. I mean, that's how dire he made it seem. This prompted multiple children of Christine to go public and make their own videos condemning some of the things that Peyton Brown said. And then also McKelty sort of walking back what happened and trying to reframe it and say that she couldn't recall anything physical ever happening between her and Mary, but also said that her children would never be allowed around Mary because she didn't feel like Mary was a safe person. Do what you want with that information, but it felt like there was a cover-up going on. Well, it appears as I'm rewatching this interview with Peyton and John Yates, this was an interview where he actually revealed that his dad was going to sue them if they didn't stop talking about him.
I was doing military things, and Dad calls me kind of out of the blue and talks. And the previous time me and Dad talked, outside of this, previous time me and Dad talked, I had worn the shirt. I wore the shirt. I posted a video about wearing the shirt, and Dad texts me like 4 days later because he saw it on Twitter. He saw the shirt on Twitter, and he's like, he goes on this large rant. How dare you treat me like this? How dare you disrespect me like this? At least the nanny is respectful. Full long text. And my response is, Dad, the shirt is hilarious.
What does that mean?
A lot of things. I was disrespectful by wearing this. Yeah, I was disrespectful by saying the thing my mom said on television was funny. Yeah, that was the last time we had text. And then we go months without texting. I don't remember the exact months, but like 7-8 months without text. And then he calls me randomly out of the blue, and he has a conversation with me. And this is like an hour-long conversation, and it goes really, really well. I'm like, okay, you know what? I might be getting my father back. This is wonderful. I then find out by Mom the next day, because I told Mom, oh yeah, I talked to Dad yesterday. And she's like, what did he call about? Did he call about the argument we're having? And I'm like, well, what's up with the argument you're having? Apparently, he was trying to convince the, this is not what they are, but like they're high-ups in TLC, and they're high-ups in Puddle Monkey. And he's trying to discuss with them, trying to put it in our contracts that we are not allowed to say anything negative about him on our platforms. I'm not allowed to talk about anything negative with him on our platforms. And he's fighting with Mom about it because Mom is saying, you can't control our children that way. He's trying to say, your children can't say anything bad about
What would happen if you said something bad about, like, would he sue you?
It hurts his image. It hurts his image.
Like, if you're like, so you sign a contract and like,
TLC.
like, oh, Kody, my dad's not the greatest guy. So is he going to? Is your dad going to sue you because you spoke negatively about him in some way?
TLC would sue me if I.
Oh God.
In the fall of 2022, Peyton wore a shirt that said, "What does the nanny do?" which was a catchphrase of one of the seasons where Christine wanted to know why Kody and Robin could have a nanny at their house, but nobody else could see them or the kids. They were excluding themselves from everyone, and yet every single day they had a nanny coming into their house, which made the kids that wanted to be with the family and with their dad feel very angry. And the famous line of "what does the nanny do" was made into t-shirts. Peyton wore it He made a TikTok about it. He would do quick TikToks where he would comment on taglines and things that his dad said on the show. He was very openly critical. A lot of these did very well. Some of his TikToks had millions of views. And he was doing it in kind of like a funny, in jest way. He wasn't always being super serious, but his dad didn't like it. And he took Peyton wearing a "What Does the Nanny Do" shirt as a disrespectful move against himself. This is something that Christine said on a show. It was a shirt that a fan sent to Peyton that Peyton wore. And Kody deemed that disrespectful. Because Peyton wouldn't remove the video and wouldn't stop talking about Kody, Kody didn't speak to him for like 8 months, he said. And then he suddenly contacts him again 8 months later, 9 months later, and it's after Christmas of 2022, and he wants to talk to him, and he has this nice conversation with him, and he thinks that this conversation is without an ulterior motive. He thinks his dad is just trying to reconnect with him, until he contacts his mom, and his mom reveals to him, oh, that's your dad wants to put you all in contracts and sue you if you speak negatively about him. And he finds out then that his dad is going to sue him if he doesn't stop talking about him, and he wants to get TLC involved in that. And apparently Christine and Kody go into and get into a fight about this. And Kody is viewing this as it's bad for business. So he's viewing his family as a business, and he's viewing any disrespect of him as bad for the show because he believes it's his show, which technically it is. Anybody criticizing him is criticizing TLC in the show in his eyes. And he wanted TLC to sue the kids if they continued to speak badly about him. Initially, the kids kind of mocked at this and sort of scoffed at it, but it worked because Peyton abandoned his TikTok in March, I think, of 2023. April of 2023 is the last time really he posted anything. And Gwendolyn, who had a very active Patreon and was doing videos on her YouTube, suddenly begins defending her father and criticizing her mom in videos. She also ends up getting money from him for college out of the blue. She gets like a good chunk of change to help with her living expenses. So he pays Gwendolyn money, and then suddenly she starts calling her mom a narcissist. She skips her mom's wedding. She is upset with her mom and says her mom is just as bad as her dad, starts defending her dad. Peyton all but disappears, doesn't say anything yet. And then Gwendolyn also reveals that while she was filming her engagement party, she got tricked into signing a contract, which means she can no longer really disparage anyone in the family. So Kody is using the network to bully and intimidate his children to prevent them from speaking about him and to cover up truths that would potentially end the show. And Peyton even revealed this in this interview with John Yates, and he said that if the public knew some of the information that he had, the show would not go on. So now you get us to 2024, and everyone has witnessed what happened in season 18, and despite the horrific and atrocious behavior of Kody during the season, you don't see the same sort of pushback publicly. Some of the wives will ingest, throw up jokes, or poke fun at some of the things that Kody says, but no one is outright speaking negatively about him. The kids have all gone silent. So today, you have a very tragic situation that happened in the family, and nobody is speaking out about their frustrations with Kody. Now, they are grieving, but it should give you clarity as to why Mary might be defending Kody, why, they might be wanting to say things, but it's very coded, or it seems very protective, or it seems as though they're afraid. It matches how a source that was with production reached out to me a couple months ago and said that Kody would sue anyone for defamation if they spoke against him and his family. And if TLC were to potentially cut ties with him, there were fears that he might sue the network for the same thing, which could put in a spinoff into question. So Kody would, even if he gets kicked off of Sister Wives, could potentially sue the other women if they talk about him on any new shows. And he likes to threaten legal action a lot. He hasn't done it yet, not that I've been able to see, but that threat to the kids got them to shut up, and it actually got several of them locked into new contracts or had to sign agreements under not honest intentions. So in order for Gwendolyn to go into her engagement party, she had to sign a document, not realizing that it was an NDA. They just told her to sign something as a release. And it was that release she signed that said she'll never film again for the show. She'll never be on the show again. And there will be parts of her stuff, I think, coming up in the next season, but you won't see any new filming, according to Gwendolyn. That was like a year ago. Peyton hasn't posted anything at all. So if you have to remember that the response that we see from them, they're trying to protect a show. They're trying to protect their livelihoods. They're trying to protect the truth from whatever it is. But it seems like some of the kids have details that would ruin the show and would end the show if the truth got out, but they've been silenced through legal intimidation, fear, and contracts with TLC. It sounds a lot like Jim Bob Duggar. So when you're consuming content from these family members, just remember they're part of a machine on a network, and they can't always tell the truth. They can't always be honest. They can't disparage the show. And it seems like they have gotten to the point where they're not allowed to even speak about Kody. And that's disgusting. And that's how patriarchy works in the AUB. It's not just that he's threatening legal action, but they've been ingrained and indoctrinated their whole lives that you cannot disrespect the patriarch because he is God and next to God. It's a complicated family dynamic, and it's just not as simple as, it's just not a black and white scenario. It's not that the kids all love him. It's not that the kids all revere him. It's not that they probably don't have things they want to say. It's that they've been silenced and intimidated into not saying anything. And that's wrong. And that's what Jim Bob Duggar did to his kids. As I was digging through details of the last few months, I just found that and I was like, let's revisit that. So if you ever wonder why no one's speaking out negatively about Kody and the family, that's why. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. And thank you all for watching. Bye, guys.